word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
Take is our web show. Say hi. What's your number one program that you want to take care of?
First thing we got to do, we got to get the economy back on track. Inflation under control. We can't be having $4 gasoline. We can't be having groceries unaffordable. We got to get the economy working for all Montana together.
CEO Dana White, 45, soon to be 47, President-elect Donald Trump.
He did the Trump dance. He did the Trump dance.
Also signing an executive order to instruct the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo.
Touchdown. Welcome, everybody, to the Sunday night edition, episode number 108 of Just Our Take. We're glad you're here. I'm your host, John, and this is my co-host, Dave. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, good evening. I will never look at that landing again, or that recapturing of the booster rocket. I'll never see it. I'll never stop seeing the blue orange take off with the little funnel, the little aerosol spray can funnel fire, whatever that was.
I have a special treat for our folks at home tonight regarding that. So yeah, we'll talk about that tonight.
It's incredible. Doing great.
Hey, we got Carol Marie and Alice here, along with some others. Alice, glad you joined us tonight. I'm glad everyone's here, but I didn't know that you would be here because I heard that you were traveling. That could be wrong, but welcome. We're glad you're here. We have a very special show for you tonight. I'm going to tell you why it's a special show. It's a special show because David and I use a program in order to link our notes so that throughout the week, as we're bringing up different ideas and the files, the videos, you name it, we store them there, and both of us have access to it. It's saved in the cloud, and so we always have access to it no matter where we are. This morning, as I was working on it, it took a digger. It left. It went away. Nothing. Gone. Finite. Bye-bye. All of the notes that we had for the entire week that we'd put together for tonight's show, gone. So David did most of the work to recapture most of that. So David, thank you for working on that. I know that you only have about 72,000 other things to do. But some of the things that we planned on are gone for good. They'll just have to come back another day. So anyway, it's going to be a special show because it's a brand new show.
It's a little bit different than what we had planned, but that's all right. You know what? The good news is the world continues to provide lots of content. So it's, in our normal, usual form, we got to go through and say, okay, we can't talk about everything. Let's prioritize some things. To that end, John, I've got a short list of headlines today. If I missed any, feel free. If I had missed any big ones, please feel free to throw them in here. Okay, I'm going to go through a couple of them right now, and in no particular order of importance. But the first one is, I don't know if I say his name correctly or not, Shedeur Sanders, Dion's son.
Yeah,
he went in the 5th round of the 2025 NFL draft to the Cleveland Browns, 144th pick overall. And we don't have that story tonight to share, but I'll just say it's a funny one. The Pope was laid to rest, and Trump wore a blue suit. Judge Jusan Cano, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, and his wife were arrested for harboring a member of Tren de Aragua. I think we mentioned that before. We'll talk a little bit more about that tonight. The Wisconsin judge, Monica Isham, announced that she refuses to hold court and refuses to work with ICE. We're going to talk about Virginia Gulfrey tonight, but she basically took her own life after being hit by a bus recently. A lot of bad stuff happening with her and her family. ABC reports, I hope you're sitting down for this one, Trump has the lowest, and by the way, MSNBC and CNN all reported on this too, so they probably all got the notes. Lowest 100-day job approval rating of any president in the last 80 years.
I thought it was the last. I thought it was the last 280 years.
It could be. I wonder who they're asking. Okay.
If it's all of them, and by the way, those same people, I'm sorry, I can't let that one go. Those very same people have put out polls recently saying that he has one of the highest approval ratings. And then come 100 days, they got to turn it around because we can't give him any good press. Sorry.
Right. And then the Democratic approval rating continues to fall through the floorboards, and they have to change everything. And it's just a talk point for them now, right? Hakeem Jeffries and Cory Booker, very busy. They've been protesting the budget cuts to Medicare. They're Medicaid. They are confident that the new budget is going to have to slash Medicaid. So they're telling everybody in advance, come sit with us on this sit-in. And I saw a crowd of at least 30 people. So people are showing up. Let's see. Trump 2028. We'll talk more about that, but it's all the rage right now. It's causing a new outbreak of acute TDS. Student loan repayments will resume May 5th. Real ID requirements for all travel begins May 7th. That's probably just more of an announcement, right? Don't forget, if you don't have a passport or a real ID. Raging party, and I know we're going to talk about this one, broken up in Colorado Springs where more than 100 undocumented aliens were arrested. By the way, there were drugs, guns, prostitutes, all kinds of fun stuff. So we'll talk about that. And then, of course, there was a horrible event that happened in Vancouver, Canada, which is, if you've been to Vancouver, it's a beautiful city. It's normally pretty quiet and not a lot of bad things tend to happen. There's a drug use. They have a drug problem, but outside of that piece of it, it's a pretty tame city. But a vehicle did plow through a crowd, and unfortunately, 11 people as of the last count have perished, which is horrible. Sorry to end on the headlines on that note. I should have probably put that in some other order. But there's a lot more going on. That's just the tip of the iceberg, and I thought I would share those stories that tend to rise to the top today.
Well, I want to just, because I can and because I want to share something with you because it came up in when you talked about the opening show. So I just have to touch base on this one really quick. There was every year in Lake Havasu, they do this. Every year in Lake Havasu, they do, it's called Desert Storm, where they bring in these unbelievable, ridiculous fast boats, and they run anywhere from 500,000 to 3 million. There is one, it's an Xfinity, which is, it's got 2 jet engines in it. But this particular naturally aspirated twin gasoline engine, I think it had 1,100 horsepower each, so 2,200 horsepower. They were going for a record for their class. So they were trying to get the water speed record for their class. And here is what happened. You may or may not have seen this.
Holy fuck!
Oops, sorry, language. Oh, yeah, language. Let's get this smack.
Wow.
Okay.
John,
I'm happy to report.
Did you say they were going for the speed record or the height flying?
They went for the speed record. They actually won the speed record. They went when that took airborne. They were doing 200.1 miles per hour. Both of the drivers, there's one that does driving or the steering, one that does speed. Both of them are completely safe. They walked away from it. There's pictures of them walking around. I just want to say they spent more time in space than Katy Perry did.
Yes, they did. But I was gonna say 6.5 wonderful twists and somersaults, but they did not stick the landing.
Oh, they stuck it. That's okay. So,
okay.
Oh, really? You have a friend that builds those engines? Well, I have a boat. Maybe they can rebuild my motor. I don't want to fly though. I'd like to go fast, but not fly. So, David, real quick, let's talk about the Pope. Okay.
Let's talk about the Pope.
On the last show, I did say that I had a couple of really interesting takes on the Pope. One of them was I didn't believe that the Pope that we saw meeting with J.D. Vance was the same Pope that we had seen prior to that weekend. So here's the picture of the old Pope, right? The one. So I'm like, yeah, that's the Pope that we've seen. That's Pope Francis. And you have to know my way of thinking to wonder why I would question whether or not that was the same Pope or not. But here is the Pope that J.D. Vance met with. Okay. And this is after 3 weeks in the hospital. Old Pope, J.D. Vance Pope. I'm looking at the nose. The nose looks a little bit more bulbous here, a little thinner there. Got that bump on the bridge of the nose there. Not really a bump on that bridge of the nose. The eyes look a lot different. And again, how do you gain that much weight in the hospital? Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional, but somebody that is a medical professional pointed out to me, well, if they were in the hospital and they were on fluids and maybe there are some internal organs that are failing, you could blow up like this. Okay, fair enough. But my original response was not the same guy until I started zooming in on that ear. So look at the ear on this one. And I particularly point out, you can't see it, but as it's looking towards the canal there, there's a little notch going into on the right side of the ear canal area there. Same notch is there. And then you look at the upper part of the ear, the Dumbo wing kind of part of the ear, lack of a better term. Same thing there. Same thing there. Now, I think we've talked about this in the past, many except Murray's saying not even close.
Nope, not even close.
There are many countries where the ear, in photographs and or in person, are as recognized as fingerprints because they are completely individual. I agree. These two pictures do not look the same. They look like a completely different person. You can imagine with that chin. I wish that there was a way that I could see teeth, because obviously the teeth too would make a difference. But either way, let's just say, for the sake of John's argument, that it's not the same Pope and that the original Pope was gone a while back. What I really wanted to focus on was that gold tie that he's wearing. He was wearing a gold tie into the meeting with the Pope. J.D. Vance was. And the rest of the day, before and after, he was wearing a red tie. So why does he wear a gold tie? Some people have said, well, that's the color of the Vatican. Well, not gold, yellow. Yellow is the Vatican's colors. So then some people were saying, and actually I think Magilla, one of our viewers said, I think that it was to recognize the hostages. Again, if it were yellow, I would agree, but it wasn't yellow, it was gold. I believe if we go back all the way back to the end of World War II, I think the globalists, the people that wanted to create the one world government, started hoarding all the gold. And I think that they said, where can we put this where no one's going to mess with it and no one's going to question it? And that was the Vatican. I'm not the only one to think about this. This is a long ongoing theory that a lot of the gold had been hoarded at the Vatican. There's also some question and or speculation that gold had been recouped or brought back to the rightful owners after Trump went and visited the Vatican on the first time around. I think that the gold tie meeting with the Pope 7 hours before this Pope is gone, I think it was a signal to the rest of the world, we've got the gold. Again, just John's take. I could be totally wrong. And that is an abbreviated take of it. There's more details to come. And I think that we may even get some more information on it. You know, they have yet to do the audit of Fort Knox. So
yeah, we've been waiting for that. And we thought we were going to get it a few weeks. It's only been a few weeks back. And I love the push from the public. Hey, go Doge, Elon, live stream this, go to Fort Knox, live stream it. Let us all see for ourselves firsthand. Let's go look.
So that was my recap. It wasn't quite as, I'm sorry, it did not meet the crescendo that I was hoping it would meet when I teased it last Wednesday, but it's still there and it's not done. I'm not done with the theory of the gold. I think that the gold is still very much a reasonable and viable possibility.
Well, we will have to see. There's a lot of other hubbub around the Pope's. What's the right word for it? It's his funeral, but the showing,
going away party. It's going away
party. I'm
sorry. For those Catholics in the crowd, I apologize. I'm not trying to be irreverent. My apologies.
Yeah, you were irreverent, but that's yes.
I
but apologies.
His public funeral.
But anyways, so for those people who only read the headline and already have TDS, the headlines, and Trump wore a blue suit when they were asked to wear black. Trump got a terrible seat. He was way up in the back.
So and first of all, he was at the seat of honor.
He was at the seat of honor. Yes.
And the viewing, thank you.
The viewing.
So the other thing was that picture that everyone's pointing out, they say the Vatican asked everyone to wear a black suit and Trump wore a blue suit. How disrespectful. Yeah. Well, that had been altered. The picture had been altered. When they look at an unaltered, and you can find these all over, you look at an unaltered image, there are, I can count at least 36 other people wearing blue suits, world leaders that are wearing blue suits. So stop it already, please.
And Zelensky wore his finest black camouflage. So I'm just saying, I mean, he came dressed. No tie, no jacket, but that's his style, right? Anyways, yeah, I'm sure there will be more to talk about around the Pope's passing. Obviously, now they're looking for a new Pope, and already some of the headlines are out that they're looking for one that's more progressive. And I don't really quite understand how you can find a Pope that's more progressive because, I'm not Catholic, John, but, the person who leads the Catholic Church should be actually like leading based on the doctrine. Like, what does the doctrine say? And how do you interpret that? And then how do you give guidance to your leadership around the world? And I don't know, is it ambiguous about what the doctrine is? So I never want us to go back to a place where people are openly and violently discriminating against other people because of their gender preference, color, hair, right? They have pink hair. We may look at them funny, but we don't get mad at them. Like, I never want to get back to a place like that, right? So I would like for us to, be able to be tolerant of those that we're struggling with, and just treat people with dignity and care and love, right? So that's where I'd like to see us get to. But like the Catholic religion, it's pretty clear about some of the belief systems. And I don't know a progressive progressive pope. I don't know what that means even.
Well, there's a lot of Catholics that are very devout, and there's many of them have said flat out, this pope has violated an awful lot of the norms in the Catholic Church. There's also a lot of news out there about a very conservative and actually black pope that is in the running, and he's a front runner right now. You don't know until they go in and they do their little thing and the smoke comes out the chimney, who's actually going to be the pope. But I do have a picture of Zelensky, what Zelensky wore. This was a picture of Donald Trump pulling Zelensky aside to have some peace talks, and they found the most private place they could go.
Well, you saw the moments leading up to this when Macron ran over. Hey, don't forget about me. And Trump said, he shook Zelensky's hand. He went to go shake Trump's hand. Trump's like, hold on a minute. I need to have a private conversation. You're not invited.
Trump actually said, yeah, you're not a part of this conversation.
Can you imagine?
Spanked.
It just, I don't know. I mean, just you're not a part of this conversation, Marcon. This is a private matter. You're excluded from this. I love it. Sorry, but
Okay. So what's
all
next
right
on your agenda?
All right. So look, we have been demanding arrest people already. And anyone's been paying attention this last week, it's filled with some fun arrests. So I do want to kick things off with a very important message that we heard about who should be, who does the law pertain to?
The idea that no person is above the law.
You can't hear it because it's muted.
We can hear it. We can hear it.
Oh, you can? Okay, I can't hear it, but you can hear it.
Principle of American justice.
No man is above the law, no matter what the crime.
I don't know why I can't hear it.
No man is above the law, and no person is above the law. No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one's above the law.
No one is above the law.
No man is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No man is above the law.
He has to be held accountable. He's not above the law. No one's above the law.
Either that nor any other title puts you above the rule of law.
And no one is truly above the law.
That is what it means to have a rule of law. That is what it means to not have a king.
They're not above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
Everyone will be treated, as Merrick Garland has said, as equally.
Well, that no one is above the law, which is foundational.
No one is above the law, even a former president.
We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone.
No one is above the law.
The law is the law, and no one should be above it.
Yes, nobody is above the law. No one is above the law.
No one else is above the law, including a president.
Nobody is above the law. You can't have two justice systems in America. It has to be one justice system, and anybody who breaks the law should be held accountable.
And that no one is above the law.
No one is above the law, and our president is not above the law.
I always thought that this country, that no one was above the law, especially the president.
Well, I couldn't hear it at all, but I watched it already, so I know what it says. I'll have to figure out why I couldn't hear it, but I think that was a good lead off, right? No one's above the law, right? I even have one from Biden in case you want to see that one. But bottom line is, at one point in time, all of these people felt really strongly about the arrests. Then now we'll contrast that. And I hope I can hear it this time. It was disappointing that I couldn't hear that. Hold on a second. Let me
if you put your headphones in, you'll be able to hear it. Otherwise you won't, because otherwise it would feed back into the microphone.
Okay. If that's the case, I will do that. So I will play this little ditty here. This is about our friend Judge Hannah Dugan.
for victims to want to cooperate. They wanted to cooperate. They were sitting in the courtroom with the state prosecutor. The judge learns that ICE was outside to get the guy because he had been deported in 2013, came back in our country, commits these crimes, charged with committing these crimes, victims in court. Judge finds out. She goes out in the hallway, screams at the immigration officers. She's furious, visibly shaken, upset, sends them off to talk to the chief judge. She comes back in the courtroom. You're not going to believe this. Takes the defendant and the defense attorney back in her chambers, takes them out of private exit and tells them to leave. While a state prosecutor and victims of domestic violence are sitting in the courtroom.
Wow. You know,
Can't
Madam
make this
Attorney
up.
General, great to have you here, and thanks for coming back on America Report. So we remember these words of Tom Homan, the border czar. This was March 17th, and his message on these judges who apparently are trying to get in the way of this administration's efforts. Listen.
I'm proud to be a part of this administration. We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks. We're coming.
So when you see these judges trying to obstruct your efforts to make this country safer, what is your message to them?
We are going to prosecute you, and we are prosecuting you. I found out about this the day it happened. We could not believe, actually, that a judge really did that. We looked into the facts in great depth. That's her picture up on the screen, Hannah Dugan, who is now in custody. You cannot obstruct a criminal case, and really, shame on her. It was a domestic violence case of all cases, and she's protecting a criminal defendant over victims of crime.
In fact, I'll pause there because that's Pam Bondi. Now, what do you think that the left is saying right now? What do you think that they are outraged about and screaming from the hilltops about?
Was that a rhetorical question?
No, I wanted you to. This is the Just Our
Of course,
Take show.
they're saying you
to
can't.
respond.
I'm sure that I know that they're saying that you can't arrest a judge. Why would you be? You can't arrest a judge. It's not fair.
This lawfare is unconscionable, and how dare you? And it's just incredible. And now we see, this dictatorial leadership, and it's all about fascism and all the other N words that go along with it. So I wanted to play one from the MSNBC site because I thought it was kind of fun, and then we can break it down and talk about it a little bit more.
For one thing, the Department of Justice, the FBI, made a big show of arresting this judge in a parking lot, like slapping the cuffs on, as opposed to what they do for lots of high-profile defendants, including, say, Donald Trump, right? Filing charges, allowing them to report to court for booking and arraignment. Now, according to the complaint, Dugan was arraigning a man named Eduardo Flores Ruiz on domestic violence charges when ICE agents appeared in the courtroom hallway to arrest him on suspicion of being in the country illegally. They claim Dugan, the judge in question, then escorted Flores Ruiz and his attorney out of her courtroom through another door, a jury door. ICE agents did arrest him after a foot chase. Today, about 8:30 a.m. local time, as Judge Dugan was headed into the courthouse for work, the FBI came back for her, intercepting her in the parking lot, arresting her, transferring her to the custody of the U.S. Marshals. Dugan's legal team put out a statement saying Judge Hannah Dugan has committed herself to the rule of law and principles of due process for her entire career as a lawyer and judge. The judge will defend herself vigorously and looks forward to being exonerated. Now, the real way you know that her arrest was part of a propaganda move is from the administration's propaganda. As Dugan was being arrested by the FBI, Trump's FBI director, Kash Patel, was tweeting about her case. We believe Judge Dugan intentionally led federal agents away from the subject to be arrested in our courthouse, allowing the subject, an illegal alien, to evade arrest. Patel called the man a legal alien before he's had his due process. The judge was running a pre-trial conference for this man on criminal charges in her court when ICE agents came in without a court warrant issued by a judge. That's a tactic that ICE agents use all the time, but are now using in courthouses across the country, which is new. Basically, daring judges who are used to controlling their courtroom, who's in and who's out, right, to stop them. But there's no question what message they and their partners on Trump TV are trying to convey here.
I'm just saying that he got his coaching from Rachel Maddow. I am convinced of it. He's like serious and throwing my arms around.
And he's lying. He's absolutely lying.
He's lying. Yes.
So I mean, first of all, he makes comments that are completely inflammatory and incorrect. But the other thing is, and what very few people are talking about, this judge took somebody who was on trial for domestic violence. The witnesses are there. In other words, the abused is there.
Right.
The victims are right there waiting for this trial to start. She takes the illegal alien abuser into her chambers along with his lawyer and then says, you guys need to go out this escape hatch, the back door, the non-public access, and led him out that way. Didn't get the trial that he was supposed to have, that the victims deserved, and now put him out on the streets. And once the ICE agents found out that he was out there with the assistance of the police, they had to run him down in a foot chase.
Right.
Now, they endangered many people by doing that. I shouldn't say they. The judge, endangered many people. It was reckless.
Right.
It was illegal, and she deserves to be arrested. Now, the other point the MSNBC hack said was that he had not had his due process to decide whether or not he was illegal. That's not true. He is actually deported. He was ordered deported previously. And so he was in here on a detainer saying, go away. We need to take you out of the country when he did this domestic abuse.
Yeah.
So, there's that.
There's that. He put 2 people in the hospital, by the way. But yeah, he's in there for domestic abuse. He's on trial for that, right? So the whole thing is set up for him to actually, I don't know if they're at the hearings, they're at the stage now, but the defense attorney is there. By the way, the defense attorney is allegedly being looked at as somebody who is aiding this event, and so now they're being looked at. But this judge, let's put the illegal immigrant part aside. Let's put that aside for a minute. She took a defendant who was about to be tried for criminally beating the crap out of somebody. I think it's his wife. Sorry, not I think. It's his wife. Which, by the way, I think most people would agree, like, good. If somebody were to do that, they absolutely should be punished, right? They should stand trial, and if convicted, they should be punished. So if we just start there, she took him and snuck him out of the courtroom and set him free. If you just stop there,
the bottom line is it was illegal, and she had absolutely no business doing it. She broke the law, and now she's going to find out. This is the FOFA,
right.
Sorry, or FAFO, sorry.
FAFO.
Fool around and find out. And so now she did. And these guys are complaining because they're going to uphold the law. And what that did, the interesting thing was, and it shocked me, hate to say it, I'm not easily shocked these days, how many people came out and said, well, I'm going to do the same thing.
Well, that's just it, right? And so a fellow judge here, hold on, I've got her name here. Judge, I don't have her name here. I do have her name. I don't have it quick. Anyways, one of the judges from the
name in the headlines.
Oh, I do have her name.
You mentioned her in the headlines.
You mentioned her name. That's why I can't find it.
Ilham, I think it was like that.
Clearly a very, Judge Monica Isham. Yeah, very polished show here. So thank you for giving me some grace. Monica Isham, one of the fellow judges, she's like, I need to understand what the policy is. I'm not going to have any more cases until I know what the policy is. So of course the governor says, well, let me reiterate the policy. We're not going to help. That's it. We're not going to help. And by the way, it gave some direction. If you're asked by ICE agents, if they come to your place of work and they bring a warrant, you ask for the warrant, you have them sit in a public space, you send this warrant over to your legal counsel at your company, but you do not give them access to any records or anything. You don't answer any questions until your lawyer has a chance to look at it and respond to it. I don't know how this works, John. I don't know. Do the federal agents need to wait for a company to have had their legal team review the warrant before the federal police can take action? I don't know how this works.
Yeah, well, apparently they don't either. And then on top of that, we've got this. We've got the governor weighing in. Wisconsin governor Tony Evers administration, basically he just told everybody what to do and how to handle it to avoid ICE, to help illegal immigrants avoid ICE. The governor. So now people are asking the question, can you arrest a governor? Well, let's not forget they arrested Trump.
Yeah, I honestly I can't think of why you couldn't. Why can't you? You can ask for the arrest for you can ask for the arrest of the president. You certainly can ask for the arrest of a governor who is aiding and abetting a bad situation. Okay,
and what happened in Wisconsin? Those are all in Wisconsin. There's like 5 judges that have come out right now. 5 judges that have come out right now, and the governor. What happened to Wisconsin?
What happened to Wisconsin? Maybe the buses and the planes didn't make it to Wisconsin. Maybe they don't have the same influx of people that other states and cities have seen. I don't know, John. I don't know. Okay, other arrests. I'm gonna hit a couple quick ones here. So
before you go there, I do have I apologize. I have a story that kind of goes along with those things. Let me just find it real quick. My apologies. Again, if it hadn't been for we're being very nice. We're not telling you what program we use because I'm just going to say it could have been just one of those crazy things that happen from time to time. Unrelated. It will never happen to you. That kind of thing. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So we're not going to name the product that we use because I'm thinking it was a huge bummer and it really messed us up because we had everything ready to go, show in the can, so they say. So here we go. Wall Street Apes on X asks the question: could these guys be involved with the cartels? Immigration judges, like the ones who are just arrested, are tied to the cartels and foreign entities are paying them. There's going to be many more. These are the judges that were dismissing without prejudice all of the immigration cases, over 1 million in 1 year. They dismissed these illegal aliens basically to let them go into our country scot-free and eventually get citizenship. How many of them are directly tied to the cartels or tied to some other foreign entity that's been paying for them? That's where we really need to send investigations. I really hope Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and the rest of them are doing just that. It's I guess we could play the video and you wouldn't have to hear me say all that stuff, right? Let's do this.
What did you think when you heard these stories of these 2 judges with all of the victims you've talked to of illegal alien activity, with all the work the Border Patrol does on the border? What goes through your mind?
Well, thank God it's about time. And I've got sources inside the administration we're talking to that say this is just the beginning. There's going to be many more. So that is a breath of fresh air for the American people. These are the guys that have been aiding and abetting. And think about this, Grant. These are the judges that were dismissing without prejudice all of the immigration cases, over 1 million in 1 year. They dismissed these illegal aliens basically to let them go into our country scot-free and eventually get citizenship. The biggest question I have is to find out how many of them not just are harboring, not just are protecting. They think that they're going to get away with it. They think they might get a slap on the wrist. But how many of them are directly tied to the cartels or tied to some other foreign entity that's been paying them? That's where we really need to send the investigations. And I really hope Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and the rest of them are doing that. I have no doubt, again, in hearing some of what I'm hearing in the back channels, that more is coming. And again, just speaking on behalf of the American people, it's about time.
So we've been talking about this the last few weeks about how it was our belief that although these judges getting in the way are very inconvenient, they slow things down. I think we even posted that there's been an attempt of 300,000 deportations and so far over 35 injunctions brought to keep those people in. I want to point out one other thing. If you don't know the law, when he says that these cases are being dismissed without prejudice, that means that they can never be tried again under those same charges. So dismissed without prejudice, can't be charged again. Otherwise, double jeopardy applies.
Yep. So keeping in line with something's not right here, I'll add one more. So Pam Bondi's, not Pam Bondi. Why am I? Christy Noem's. Thank you. Christy Noem's purse was stolen, right? And you're like, well, how on earth could you have your purse stolen? So this was stolen by a person who actually is pretty adept at this, right? So you go to a restaurant, you put your bag on the ground, phone on the table, whatever. This person has a history of coming along and swiping it, and allegedly originally has made a career at this, stole 21,000 pounds in London back in 2015, targeting workers in upscale spots, basically at these restaurants. It turns out, and also the Secret Service thought it was a white guy, but I don't know. It's hard to say, was that person Hispanic? Was he like white is a skin color? It's easier to see white versus a different color. I mean, I don't know if I fault Secret Service with this, but people are going off on a tangent with that as well. Anyways, he was here illegally in the country, and this poor guy, father of 3, now might get deported, and it's a horrible story. And this poor guy just trying to make his way through life by stealing. Now, my question is, Christy Noem at a restaurant. How did somebody get? Was she just being careless, or was there more to it? Was she targeted? I don't know. I'm a skeptical about everything, so I believe she was targeted, and I believe this guy was used to do it. And now he got caught, and now he's going home. By the way, other people are being looked at for this, which tells you this guy wasn't working alone. If there are other people that are being looked at for this crime, potentially there's more to it. So in the realm of there's more to it, I'm going to say I agree. I think there's more to it with this guy too.
Some people are saying that this was a setup, and that there's no way that the Secret Service would allow somebody to get that close to her purse. Look, I think that it was her being careless, and the guy, or not, maybe her being too comfortable was probably the better way. You know what? I got Secret Service protection. I'm in DC. These are areas where I'm fine. Well, they're not going to set up, the DNI to be robbed by, an illegal alien just to, so they can arrest him and deport him. That's just dumb. So people are saying that, but I'm not there.
You're not there. Okay. I'll take
Do you
that.
have the Pam Bondi recording where she's talking about the judge and wife that were arrested for harboring the TDA member?
I don't have that link, but yes, the one in New Mexico. I don't have that link handy, John.
Okay.
But
I'm going to just paraphrase it, because one of the things that they said, Pam Bondi comes out and she talks about, they're saying, oh, they were just trying to help out someone. They had no idea that he was this, trendy Aragua member. The fact is they did know. And the reason that they knew was because the judge himself took the guy's phone, smashed it with a hammer, and then drove out of his way to find a public dumpster to dump that phone into. Well, nothing's ever gone. It's on the servers. And what they found was he had been sharing videos of a decapitated member of the community with several of his fellow Trendy Aragua gang members, and was even being warned by some of them, saying, you can't be sharing this. Someone's going to catch you. So this judge was not just harboring, but he's going to get it for destruction of evidence.
Yeah, and he should. So he's not just some poor judge trying to help some young person who's maybe, trying to make a better way for his life and regrets the past, but now is looking forward to the future. No, this guy is he's part of a violent club, and they do violent things, as the evidence was on his phone. Sorry, I wish I did have that one. That's a good clip of Bondi talking about it, because she brings the receipts. Here's the exact evidence. Here's why we're making these arrests. I think we're going to see more and more of that. I don't think we're done yet. A couple other quick hits for the arrests. Here's a fun one. I don't know if you heard this one yet.
His name was Joshua Castro, and he was a fairly low level at the Arizona Department of Agriculture. A records check tells us he was a food inspector at or near the Nogales border with a salary of $44,000 a year, and he was wearing his uniform when he was arrested. But he is accused of charging a Mexican man $12,000 for a ride in a car north from the border and charging another man about $7,500. Court records show Castro was arrested north of Nogales on April 10th after Border Patrol agents saw him driving with two passengers in the rear seats of his car. Agents had seen Castro driving in the area the day before and recognized his vehicle. The passengers turned out to be two Mexican citizens who stated they just crossed the border. Governor Katie Hobbs' office sent us a statement that reads in part, the governor strongly condemns the actions of this former employee and that this took place outside of work hours in the employee's personal vehicle. Republican State Senator Jake Hoffman sent us a statement that reads in part, it's no wonder Hobbs vetoes every piece of meaningful border security legislation when on her watch, her own state employee is being arrested and prosecuted for human smuggling.
Yeah. How about that?
Good job, Katie. Stolen election and everything else.
Yeah, state employee. He was wearing his uniform. Hey, he was on his own time and it was his own vehicle and we're distancing. No, how about, like, is that the most important part about this?
I got
by the
this
way,
other one. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No, go ahead.
I've got this other one. This is what Marie is mentioning here. Let me go over here.
I will say before you hit play. I will say before you hit play, look, I'm not excusing him for anything he did. He needs to go and have his day in court, and then after that have a 20 years in prison or whatever the sentence is. But I get it. Like somebody's willing to pay him $12,000 or $7,500 for a 2-hour whatever it is ride in a car, like back from Nogales to Tucson's only about an hour, 45 minutes. I get it. Like that's easy money. It's 1/3 of what he's going to make in the entire 1/4 of what he'll make in the entire year. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the one person paying 12 grand.
Okay.
You get my point, right? It's a lot of cash.
No, I don't, because I don't think you would do that. You work for a tech company. If somebody from a rival tech company said, David, I'm going to give you 10 times your normal annual salary if you just get me this piece of information, you wouldn't do it because you know it's wrong.
In a previous company that I worked for, I was offered over $100,000 a year if I would influence buying decisions. And this is about 10 years ago. So that's, $100,000 actually is about 12 years ago. It's a lot of money. I was offered every single year if I could ensure that I could influence buying decisions for a particular product line. Can you imagine? I mean, of course I said, no, I can't in good conscience ever, cross that line. But I understand, like cognitively, I get what goes through people's minds when they say I make $44,000 a year and I'm going to get paid in one drive. I'll get paid almost $20,000, roughly half. I was thinking of the one guy, almost half my annual salary, but in cash. I get it. I'm not saying it's right. I don't excuse it.
And now how long is he going to spend in prison? So there's that.
He's going to lose his life. That's right.
Let's move on.
And the Rocky Mountain Division. We're here on the scene of an underground nightclub where over 300 federal law enforcement, along with our local partners from El Paso County and Colorado Springs PD, executed an enforcement operation this morning. It's a drug investigation. We seized quite a number of guns and took a number of people into custody. I think what I'd like for people to know as a result of this operation is that Colorado Springs is waking up to a safer community today.
Jonathan, give us some perspective here. 300 law enforcement officers. What brought about this kind of requirement, this kind of need to be here with that show of force?
So this is an underground illegal nightclub, okay? And what was happening inside was significant drug trafficking, prostitution, crimes of violence. We seized a number of guns in there. We had active duty service members who were running security at the club and involved in some of these crimes. And in fact, we had over 100 illegal aliens inside as well. And those over 100 illegal aliens were taken into custody by ICE.
All right. So I'm just going to stop there. First of all, really bad place. Underground, illegals, drug cartels, all of the above. But then they had hired we go back to, what morals would you be willing to put aside? They hired 12 active duty military and they were armed to guard the place. I'm not shocked at that. And here's why. During the first Gulf War, there were a lot of gang members from the Los Angeles area. I won't name the gang, but a lot of them signed up to go work, signed up for the Army, and they went to one of the more elite forces within the Army. So what did they do? These gang members went and got a job for 4 years. They learned all of the tactics and training that our military offers. They learned the special weapons. And basically they came back and taught all of their other gangbangers how to be better gangbangers. There's a lot of that. There's still a lot of that going on. And that's been a technique that's been used since Gulf War I, maybe before that, but definitely since Gulf War I, where the gang members would infiltrate or sign up for the military. And, the military, if they've been a clean gang member and not been arrested before, the military has no idea, of that. And bottom line is, it didn't surprise me when I heard this. It's sad. It bothers me, but it didn't surprise me.
It surprised me, and I was sad too, but I like your explanation. I can buy that. It's horrible. It's horrible. That there's of the one stain on this whole thing, that was the one that I was like, oh, that doesn't feel good at all. But I agree. I appreciate your take on that. I do have a video of the actual arrest if you want to show that.
Please.
Wait, okay, let's take this guy down. Let's add this guy. Ready, set, go. That guy tries to sneak away, but there's another cop that gets him. There's like 4 other videos, but they sent 200 police officers or 300. I forget what it is now, like 300 police officers. Yeah, 300 police officers to make sure that they had enough people to to control this crowd. And this is, what an incredible takedown this was. They'd been studying it for weeks. This wasn't like they got a tip that tonight there's a big party. They'd been studying it. They had inside information. They knew there were going to be drugs and guns. They knew that Tren de Aragua was like this was their place. They knew going in how to attack this, and they did flawlessly. Colorado Springs.
This is another sanctuary state. It's another sanctuary state, and I think that's great that they're going after these sanctuary states and saying, nope. We're going to show you we are in control now.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. If you remember, there was only a couple of apartment buildings taken over in Colorado.
Yeah,
only a few. So yeah, so arrests are being made. By the way, there was like 800 people arrested in a couple of days stings in Florida. So these are like, now I get it. Now these are the judges, that's one thing, like good, because they're literally obstructing the potential for justice to actually occur. It's good to see this kind of activity happen in the communities where you've got just lawlessness. That feels good. These aren't the high profile names that we're hoping for. Like, I don't know, Letitia James. I don't know if you're ready to segue to Letitia and Cuomo, but I think those are some of the people we're hoping to see next.
You mean like this? So who do you think she hired for her attorney? By the way, who's done nothing wrong, of course. So she hired Hunter Biden's defense attorney after Trump official drops a bombshell allegations of mortgage fraud. She says she mistakenly claimed Virginia as her primary residence. How do you mistakenly claim Virginia as a primary residence when you live in D.C.?
Or claim that your father is your husband so that you can get better, more favorable mortgage terms?
Well, I mean, that's Congress does that, David. So it's okay for Leticia to do.
He
Except she married her brother so that she could get him in here.
yeah. Oh, that's a different one altogether.
We're talking about Ilhan Omar. So
Yeah, not Letitia. She didn't marry her brother, but like you got to hear it from her own mouth. This is an oldie but a goodie. Not that old, by the way.
My message is simple. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law. And it is my responsibility and my duty and my job to enforce it. The law is both powerful and fragile. And today in court, we will prove our case. I thank you all for being here. And again, justice will prevail.
Okay, so I just want to say something. She has been referred for criminal charges. If you guys have a chance, and by the way, Carol, I have emailed you your very own bingo card. I didn't look at it, so I don't know what names are on it. Center square is Diddy, as we all know. Diddy has already been arrested.
Right.
But Leticia James, check your cards and see if Leticia James is on there, because she very well may be one of the first to actually get her own square. And who's the other one, David?
Well, the other one, and I'm teeing up a little introductory video on this one too, is none other than Andrew Cuomo, former governor of New York. Let me bring this guy up. Let's take a listen.
House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer just a few minutes ago referred former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo for prosecution by the Trump Justice Department, alleging that Cuomo made numerous false statements to Congress during its probe into his handling of COVID-19 and his failures to protect nursing home patients during the pandemic.
Now, by the way, John, this is like the 5th or 6th time that Cuomo has been referred for criminal investigation, but it's the first time under an administration that actually might do something with the referral.
Here's the other thing. They make it sound innocuous. Oh, he lied to Congress.
Yeah.
Well, they're also bringing up charges about how many people died as a result of his management of the COVID-19 quarantines. So if they charge him with that, oh my goodness.
Yeah, like over 15,000 people died in those assisted living facilities, the nursing homes. Over 15,000 people died. And if you remember back, as most people won't, he actually made sure that his parents and people close to him were not in those homes. So he knew exactly what was going on. Unreal. By the way, he also, this goes back a couple years, he also used his staff at the time to help him finish a book that he wrote that, whether, I don't know if anyone read it, doesn't matter. Point is, he personally profited over $4 million from it. So he used company employees, he used government employees in the state to help him enrich himself. I'm just saying, the guy needs his comeuppance.
I think it's coming.
Yeah.
And again, check those cards, because who knows? They may just end up showing up soon.
Now,
there's a lot of things happening though, right, Dave?
Are you talking about for the arrests? Are you talking about for arrests? I was going to say the other thing that I think is worth bringing up, but if this is too much of a switch gears, you might be thinking of something specific. I was going to talk about the number of politicians that are retiring or choosing not to run for office again. And I don't know if it's always at this level, but it seems like it's a unusually large number of people.
I would, we should probably put together a list, and again, put that on our Facebook page. We are building a website. It's going to be a little bit because we don't have the unlimited funds to hire somebody to do that. However, we should put a list together as well of the CEOs, politicians, and notable figures that are stepping away from their job, because there are a ton of CEOs that have stepped away.
That's absolutely true as well. This is one that most people probably don't pay a close attention to, but Intel's CEO actually stepped away a few months back, and now, of course, they're going to lay off something like 20,000 people, which is it's horrible news if you work for Intel. I don't know why he resigned, but he just resigned recently. Klaus Schwab, of course, just stepped away, and now there's an investigation in terms of how we spent some of the money that was meant to be used to create one world order, but he spent it on other things.
How old was he?
Klaus Schwab? Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know, actually.
88 years old, I think.
Oh, 88. Oh,
Same
sharp
age as the Pope.
Sharp as a
Same-
tack.
Yeah,
But-
same age as the Pope.
Same age. Oh, interesting. I hadn't thought about that. Okay, but check this out. Dick Durkin. You remember
Durbin.
Dick Durbin.
Durbin.
I know. I
Durbin.
said it my way. Dick Durbin. You remember Dick? We should have had some Dick clips. Sorry, that came out wrong. We should have had some clips of Durbin during the. I didn't. That was a complete accident. I apologize if I offended anybody. We should have had some of the clips from
Where did I get this guy?
from the Trump's cabinet picks when he's in there questioning them, and he's just lambasting them. He's just going off on them. Well, for whatever reason, Senator Durbin there, see, that's safer, has chosen to resign now, or to retire after 44 years. I mean, come on. And this guy connected to so much dirt. He's going to hopefully retiring doesn't mean he finds himself no longer of interest. I hope they continue to pursue him. But other people,
There's a lot.
Gary Peters from Minnesota, Democrat. Tina Smith from Michigan. Tina Smith from Minnesota, Democrat. Let's see, Jean Shaheen, a Democrat from New Hampshire, 78 years old, decided to hang it up. I mean, that's probably a good idea. Mitch McConnell, he finally decided.
I'm sorry. That guy doesn't even know where the men's room is anymore.
He doesn't know where he's at. I mean, I'm not laughing at his medical condition, because that's horrible. But I'm just the fact that the cabal would stand him up and pretend that he's capable of being a senator at this point. It's cruel. It's cruel to him, and it's not fair to the rest of us. And then Michael Bennett of Colorado indicating he's also retiring. Probably a good idea, because if you're in Colorado right now and the Department of Justice and FBI are making raids in your state, you're probably good time to step away. Those are senators, but there's a long list of representatives who are retiring and also not running for re-election. And I just feel like, are they running away because they know they no longer have control? The club is dissolving, it's dismantling, and they no longer have the same kind of support for all the shenanigans that they were after that they did in the past. Is that why?
I also want to point something out to you. This is actually huge, and we kind of glossed over it when it happened. But President Trump issued a memorandum in, March, saying that Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, Anthony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, Lisa Monaco, Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Fiona Hill, Alexander Vindman, Norm Eisen, Andrew Weissman, and Mark Zaid all lost their security clearances. In addition to that, all 51 of the former intelligence officers that signed the letter suggesting that Hunter Biden laptop story was false, all 51 of them have lost their security clearances, and that would be James Clapper, Mike Hayden, John Brennan, Leon Panetta, and others. Now, why is that significant? It's significant because by not having security clearances, they don't have access to anything that the Trump administration is doing. They don't have the access. They can't get to it. So they're completely running blind right now. That is a big, big, big deal. And let me show you something. They had snuck one in. Obama lapdog Susan Rice. She was somebody that stayed in the Pentagon, and she was on the Pentagon's Defense Policy Board. Well, Pete Hegseth just removed the entire board. So all of that information that she was able to gather in there, no more. And I would bet that the security clearance for all of them are going away soon.
You know, it's funny. I didn't even know Susan Rice was still around. I think this is rooting out. Yeah. who knows what she was doing in there? Who knows what information she was gathering and who she was sharing it with? Who knows? But
She was a
she
bad
lied
one.
to Congress. Yeah.
Yep.
She lied. Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
No, I was just saying she's a bad one. And there's a lot of, if you look at her family history, she's a bad one. That brings me to a point. I believe we may be ready to do it Wednesday, but you're not here. So possibly next Sunday. Will you be here next Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. Possibly next Sunday. We're going to do a deep dive into Uma Abedin. Now, you may remember Uma Abedin as Anthony Weiner's ex-wife. And she was also a member of Hillary Clinton's staff. She was her chief of staff and her right hand and her confidant. She actually was an intern during the Bill Clinton presidency. She was an intern as an aide to Hillary Clinton. Hillary liked her so much she kept her on, and to this day she's still a big time confidant. Now she's getting ready to get married to who? Eric Soros.
No, are you serious? Alex Soros or Eric Soros?
Alex Soros.
No
She's
way.
ready to get married to Alex Soros.
No way.
There is a lot of information. We'll try to get as much together as possible. I think I'm just going to save it for next Sunday. Is that fair, Dave?
I think that's fair because now I want to go dig in a little bit. Alex Soros, because by the way, his dad is at the end. I hate to say it, but Soros, George. I don't hate to say it either, honestly. Anyone like the billionaire donors, we keep hearing about billionaire donors, right? The Republicans are just taking care of their billionaire donors. You mean like George Soros? No, you don't mean like him? Oh, okay. That guy has been so disruptive to countries. We've talked about this before. He's banned in several countries, not even allowed to go there anymore, right? Because this guy is so bad. He's so evil. Yet he is BFFs with the cabal, and so is Alex. Now, some people in the Democratic Party are saying that they want to distance themselves because, the Soros name isn't the same thing as it used to be. No, it's exactly the same as it's always been. It's not changed. You're just now understanding that some people are onto it, and Alex Soros, who is a chip off the old block, there's no question.
Yeah,
he will try to continue his dad's work.
Well, and there's there was a video out there of a guy explaining just exactly how George Soros got his start or got his money. He's not spending all of his billions. He really isn't. All he had to do was put up. Now remember, he is a billionaire. All he had to do was put up about $10 million to start an NGO, and then these people start funding the NGO through USAID and other programs. Even Congress, even in a standard, what am I trying to say? The budget from Congress would give money to, the peace program. That's what they would call something silly like that. And the problem is, it never gets audited. They don't go back and say, well, what are you doing with that money? So that's where all of that money of his. So all of these programs that have worked to subvert and destroy our country, we paid for out of our own tax dollars.
We paid for it. Goes to the NGOs, and the NGOs then distribute it to other agencies, and those agencies then go and do the good work of the cabal. And that includes, the Black Lives Matters movement. That includes the Free Palestine movement. That includes all the Summer of Love back in 2020. I mean, it includes a lot of things. By the way, there's still protests that are happening. I am convinced that the funding is drying up because their signs don't look as good as they used to, but there's still protests that are happening. In fact, John, I don't want to take us off course here, but I do want to show you one interview that was done at one of these protests since I mentioned it. This will be a little comic relief, I think, or it might just might be painful. Hold on, let me see if I can get this up.
Brought you out here today to the Bernie Sanders rally?
I don't like what's going on in our country right now. I'm just kind of disgusted by it.
Sorry, not a protest. This was a rally. It's the anti-oligarch rally run by a guy who's worth more than I don't know what Bernie Sanders is worth now, a lot of millions, who's swimming with relationships with billionaires.
What's the biggest risk?
Oh gosh, what would you say, Dan? Well, I'll let you speak to that. I don't know. I don't really care for the language that's being spoken right now in the country.
Can you give any examples of specific language?
English.
Let me think about that. So many things, I don't even know where to start. I would say, oh gosh, Dan, help. Yeah.
What's changed over the last couple months post-Biden administration for you guys?
Oh gosh. Once again, where do we start? You want to? Okay, you go for this one.
Because she did the last one.
List of things I can't think of right now.
Brought you out here today.
I'm just saying, and by the way, okay, so I'm sorry, I do have a couple others, but we don't need to go into it. But in all these protests that are happening, right? The anti-Elon Musk protest and the Tesla takedowns. I mean, you get people that try to interview are either threatened with violence, people swing their swines at them, or you actually get an interview, and this is what it sounds like. Well, I don't really know exactly, but he's taking our money. No, he's not. Well, he's firing people. He's not doing that either. He is uncovering fraud, waste, and abuse. Well, who's fraud? Oh, for goodness
Our
sakes.
fraud. Who's fraud? Our fraud. Sorry. David, I've got something I'd like you to read if you would.
Okay.
This is a good one. You're going to like this one.
I like good ones. Okay. It says, quit trashing Obama's accomplishments. He's done more than any other president before him. Here's a list of his impressive accomplishments. Number 1, first president to be photographed smoking a joint. That's, you know what? That's a first. 2, first president to apply for college aid as a foreign student, then deny he was a foreigner. 3, first president to have a social security number from a state he had never lived in. I didn't know that. First president to preside over a cut to the credit rating of the United States. I did know that. First president to violate the War Powers Act. I did not know that. First president to be held in contempt of court for illegally obstructing oil drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, now called Gulf of America. First president to require all Americans to purchase a product from a third party, which was ruled unconstitutional. First president to spend $1 trillion on shovel-ready jobs when there was no such thing as shovel-ready jobs. First president to abrogate bankruptcy law to turn over control of companies to his union supporters. Ooh. First president to bypass Congress and implement the DREAM Act through executive fiat. First president to order a secret amnesty program that stopped the deportation of illegal immigrants across the U.S., including those with criminal convictions. That's interesting because a lot of people were deported under Obama. First president to demand a company hand over $20 billion to one of his political appointees. First president to tell a CEO of a major corporation, Chrysler, to resign. First president to terminate America's ability to put a man in space. First president to cancel the National Day of Prayer and say that America is no longer a Christian nation. He did say that. There's a video of it. First president to have a law signed by an auto pen without being present. Oh, I did not know that. First president to arbitrarily declare an existing law unconstitutional and refuse to enforce it. Oh, I didn't know he had that authority. First president to threaten insurance companies if they publicly spoke out on the reason for their rate increases. First president to tell a major manufacturing company in which state it is allowed to locate a factory. First president to file lawsuits against the states he swore an oath to protect. First president to withdraw an existing coal permit that had been properly issued years ago. First president to actively try to bankrupt an American industry, coal. First president to fire an inspector general of AmeriCorps for catching one of his friends in a corruption case. First president to appoint 45 czars to replace elected officials in his office. First president to surround himself with radical left-wing architects. First president to golf more than 150 separate times in 5 years in his office. First president to hide his birth, medical, and educational and travel records. First president to win a Nobel Peace Prize for doing nothing to earn it. First president to go on multiple global apology tours and concurrent insult our friend tours. First president to go on over 17 lavish vacations, in addition to date nights and Wednesday evening White House parties for his friends, paid for by the taxpayers. First president to have a personal servant, taxpayer funded, for his wife. First president to keep a dog trainer on retainer for $102,000 a year at taxpayers' expense. First president to fly in a personal trainer from Chicago at least once a week at taxpayers' expense. First president to repeat the Quran and tell us the early did he really? First president to repeat the Quran and tell us the early morning call of the azan, I did not know that, is the most beautiful sound on earth. First president to side with a foreign nation over one of the American 50 states, Mexico versus Arizona. First president to tell the military men and women that they should pay for their own private insurance because they volunteered to go to war and they knew the consequences. Then he was the first president to tell the members of the military that they were unpatriotic for balking at the last suggestion. Feel much better now. Wow, there's a lot of firsts. I didn't know that about Obama. There's a few to dig in there, John.
There are. Just thought you should know all those things. I mean, we're here to educate.
I feel better informed, but also it's a lot of bad stuff. It's a lot of bad stuff.
Yes, it is. Hey, do you want to talk about the Epstein issue that we're going to go through, or you had something else you were going to go?
No, if you want to talk about it for a quick minute, let's do it.
Well, we all know that it made all the headlines that Virginia Giuffre was a prominent. She made herself very visible, and had told her story quite often. Oh, we lost David somehow. Anyway, we told the story, or she told the story quite often about her abuse in the Epstein Island deals. She apparently died of suicide the other night. And I know that that's probably going to get us kicked off of the YouTube channel, but that's how it goes. That's what happened. And that's what the news says, that she actually died of suicide. The interesting thing about that story is that she actually got hit by a bus the beginning of April. She was hit by a bus as she was getting ready to turn, make a right turn. The bus came in and plowed into her from behind. So she was in the hospital. They said that her organs were shutting down, and I think they gave her like 5 days to live, something like that. Not good. Well, the interesting thing, and here she is both with Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew, and of course Ghislaine Maxwell. The interesting thing about this is that she actually came out and said, if anything happens to me, I'm absolutely 100%. Let's just put it up here. I'm making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and my general practitioner. If something happens to me in the sake of my family, do not let this go. Do not let this go away, and help me protect them. Too many evil people want to see me deleted, or I'm going to just put it that way. Here's, I'm not sure what happened to David, so I'll put him down there until ooh, that's ugly. Fix this. No, not even bigger. How about we go here? Here? Nope. Don't know what's going on with it, but I'm not liking it like that. So anyway, so she said that she was, there he is, he's back. She said she was not suicidal. She said that she only has like 5 days to live when she was in the hospital. And then she came out of the hospital. She fought her way out of the hospital, only to then commit suicide a couple days later. I don't know. She says flat out that she does, she was not suicidal. She said, if anything happens to me, make sure that everybody knows that I wasn't suicidal. So did they say, was the bus crash an attempt on her life? At the time, you think, oh, it's just a tragic accident. But then 5 days later, or 5 days after she gets out of the hospital, she takes her own life. Then you'd have to say maybe the bus crash wasn't an accident. And so here's John's take on it. Bus crash was an attempt. And the people that are the good guys say, we thought that she was safe. It's been a long time. I guess we need to bring her into protective custody. Maybe they're going to say she's gone now. So I don't think that she has been removed from the earth. I think that she's been removed from public viewing to protect her. And I think there's probably more that she needs to say. But for now, when they know that there are bad people trying to take her out, I think that they say, just like I believe that they did the same thing with Epstein. I think that Epstein is probably still alive. And I think that they did that because they knew if he stayed in prison that someone would have taken him out. And then there goes all that information that they could gather from him.
Yeah. By the way, the bus crash itself, if you've ever seen any of the diagrams that kind of show what happened, they say that the bus crash itself wasn't that severe, not severe enough to cause the kinds of injuries that would have their body shut down and end one's life. And then miraculously, it didn't end her life. She got to go home. But I'm making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I this. I have made this known to my therapist and
sorry,
GP.
David. We put that up when you were gone. I'm not sure what happened to you.
Well, okay, very good. I'm all
we
caught
were
up.
You're all caught up.
I
So that's what I
apologize for the duplicate. Yeah. Bottom line is there's clearly, I mean, to anyone who dares to question it, it's obvious something else is happening. But guess what? No witness. That goes away. Then you just like, okay, well, I guess there's no witness here, so there's nothing else to talk about. Let's move on, right? I mean, this is horrible. This is how some very horrible people get away with some very horrible crimes.
I just heard that. Do you remember Jen Psaki?
Yeah,
she
of
was
course.
the press secretary under O.
Yes.
I heard that she just got a big promotion at MSNBC at the expense of Rachel Maddow.
No,
Now, I don't know
seriously?
Maddow's gone, but that was the headline.
Oh,
The
that would
headline-
be
It'd be fun.
you know, she's just as wacky, but Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, I don't know. Did people take her seriously? People take Rachel Maddow seriously, and she literally flat out, without any apology, lies. Like, it's incredible. And she says it with such conviction. This is the truth, and you should trust me on this. No, literally, that's a lie, but people buy it. I think I've told you this in the past. My dad thinks she's doing a great job. Like, I don't know what to tell you, Dad. She literally, like, what she says is not true. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you could go look it up. You don't just take her word for it. Spend 30 extra seconds and go Google it, and you'll find out right away that's not true.
Well, speaking of untrue news reporters, how about a little, I don't know, Martha Raddatz?
When I look at some of the things that are being published, there was a story 10 days ago that said this is the worst April for the stock market since the Great Depression. 10 days later, the NASDAQ is now up in the month of April, and I haven't seen a story that says, "Oh, stock market has biggest bounce back ever." So I think
it certainly has gone back and forth.
I think a lot of this is media driven. When I look at the
She's trying so hard to interrupt him. Sorry, I had to go there.
No, it's good. It's good. I'll tell you, John, I anticipated that we would have one more big capitulation drop, but the market last week said, nope, the capitulation drop already happened, and you missed getting in at the bottom, but you can still get in. So I don't know. We'll see where things net out. We still have some stuff to work through, but he's absolutely right. Where were the news agencies to say the stock market's rebounded? Good job, Trump. Nope. It's Trump's bad when it goes down, and Trump, and then other people are to get credit when it goes back up. Speaking of financial stuff, the tariffs on China, and I know you sent me that one link earlier in the week, but I've been looking at it a little more closely, and I think there's a new story on Fox that broke this afternoon, but factories in China are winding down and saying, okay, if we're not going to build goods that are going to the US because of these high tariffs, what are we going to build? And the stuff we build, where are we going to send it? And and what is this going to mean for us financially? Because the US is one of the largest, if not the largest market that they export to. And right now they're frozen. They don't know if these tariffs stay in place or not. And they can't produce with these tariffs in place and send stuff off to the US. It's not going to work. And so there's people that are saying that you wait 2 weeks there's about 6 to 8 weeks of inventory currently on the shelves right now of all the major retailers across the country. And about 6 to 8 weeks from now, maybe even a little bit less, we'll start to see some severe shortages for things that are produced in China. I think that's going to happen. Now, there's a lot of things that aren't made in China that will continue to be on the shelves, but things that are made in China, all the really inexpensive stuff that we like to buy, we're going to start to see some shortages, and they're going to show up pretty soon. But we'll see the shortages before we see price hikes. Who are these tariffs hurting more? Are they hurting Americans more, or is it going to hurt China? I will vote that it's going to hurt China more, because if they can't produce, then they don't need the workers. They lay the workers off. You have a heavier burden on the state. Well, guess what? That they're already having an issue with their yuan being devalued, which they already have a real estate issue. They've been suffering through this real estate collapse now for the last 3 or 4 years. Yuan devalues, the real estate crisis becomes even worse. The banking crisis in China becomes even worse. And then if you put on top of that the job losses, more financial pressure on the state to help the people that are losing all their jobs, factories going idle, that is a severe impact to China, a severe impact. And she is saying that there is no active conversation right now with Trump. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what he's saying publicly.
You and I had this discussion in our pre-show workup yesterday, and I'm of the belief that China has been underwater financially for a number of years now. They have several large cities, like cities the size of Los Angeles. All the buildings, all the shopping malls, all the hotels, all the everything empty, completely empty. They were shows. They were shows to try to make the world think, look at how strong their dollar is, or their yuan is. Look at how, financially powerful they're becoming. But then, there have been stories for decades now talking about how that's just a facade, and they would go after people's life savings. Hey, why don't you come invest in this? Meanwhile, they're sleeping in a mud hut and they've got a little life savings there. They would get people to, give their life savings to these developers, and then they would build these giant cities. Now the cities are just sitting there empty with no infrastructure or what have you. I think that this has been going on for far too long. And I think there's a lot of other things. I think that the Trump one put an awful lot of economic pressure on the Chinese. And I don't think that China wants to be part of this one world government that they were trying to make, they being the bad guys. And I'm calling them bad guys because I don't want anything to do with being a one world government. I don't think China wants to. So I think China and Trump could actually be working together in this.
I wanted to put a picture.
Yeah.
Sorry, John, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I wanted to put a picture up really quick because they're called ghost cities, and there's a lot of them. They're all over China. And this is an example. No one lives here. These are buildings that were constructed, and you and we would take out a mortgage and buy one. And real estate is part of our wealth. There's shopping malls, massive malls, empty, massive cities like this built, towering buildings. No one lives there. And the companies that built these are all, they're gone. Like they're bankrupt. So It's real. You go cities, you can look it up, spend some time taking a look at it. It's crazy. They've got a massive real estate issue. They have banking issues. Now they're going to have potentially a lot of factories idling and job losses. The yuan is continuing to free fall, which is, bad for them, for their financial, for the banking and real estate. They're in trouble. And the only thing that worries me, and yes, I worry about these things, probably I shouldn't, is when a country finds themselves with their back against the wall and they're financially ruined, they have a choice. They can either say, okay, we capitulate, or they do something more violent. And I hope they capitulate and we can start to work together.
Or this was a planned operation, and that part of the plan is to clean up the financial system and ultimately get rid of the bad guys that are trying to create this one world government, one currency, one digital currency. And I think that something similar to that, not quite as extreme, maybe a lot more controlled. I think something similar to that is possible here.
It is possible here. I will tell you my perspective. My mind is small that I can only see things through our current financial structure. It's hard for me to think about something beyond that. But do we need a Federal Reserve? I don't think we do. That's where our problems began, and they are the source of some of our problems today. So if we didn't have one, great. Maybe we wouldn't have the kinds of deficits that we have. Maybe we wouldn't have $37 trillion worth of debt.
Well, I appreciate that you coming by here, Luke's or whatever your name is, but we'd appreciate it if you would ask to put something in our chat before you do, if you're going to put an advertisement of some sort in there. So please don't do that again. We hate to have to ban you from our channel, but
10% off something.
Hey. Yeah, we're not going to do that. So, bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Hey, I see you have something teed up. Or maybe that's the same thing. On a lighter note, Trump 2028, what do you think?
You actually increase taxes on the wealthy. You talked about the manufacturing.
I don't disagree with that. I'm saying he won't do it.
President Trump, I believe, will do it. And I think one of the things he talked about is he said politically it might hurt him. Politically, it's going to help him in his reelect in 2028, which you just put the merchandise up last night. Remember, you and everybody else was mocking me. We've got a whole set of, we've actually got hats and tees and other swag coming for you and the crew in New York, so you can wear them proudly. When President Trump, no, it's not. Hey, everything.
Where was it made?
Hang on. Everything on the War Room site is made in America. I can't vouch for anything else. We just bought it and we're sending it to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Steve, when are you going to run for office? When are you running? When are you running for office? Because you are a spinster. These are Chinese cozies. These are Chinese koozies and a Chinese hat you're showing me right now. And the president said in the interview, I don't believe in loopholes to the Constitution. So if he wants to run again, it says rewrite the rules on the bottom of that shirt. Put that shirt back up. What rule?
That's not, Chris, we have many different alternatives to make sure President Trump on the afternoon of January 2029 is the president of the United States. Many different alternatives. And we will roll those out over time. But now we see the president looks like he's very open to the idea, like he's very open to the idea of raising. If we pull off, and I think we will, this increasing, not extending the tax cuts for the wealthy and setting a bracket at 40%, actually kicking it up, it will eviscerate the Democratic Party. It will eviscerate the Democratic Party.
I don't care about the party. I care about the country. Remember what Washington said to us, right? Be a country. That is all. All right? Forget about the party, Steve. They're killing us. They create advantage for you, and you're great at it. But I don't think it's getting us to a better place. But I appreciate you having the conversation with me. You're always welcome here to do it.
And on that happy note, I think that Trump is trolling. If not, the one thing that he did say the other day, he goes, look, a lot of people are out there telling me that they think I'm just joking about the whole Canada being the 51st state. He says, I'm not joking. I really mean it. So I don't know. Does he really mean it, or is he messing around?
Well, you know what? The fun part is that people will get out there and lose their voices screaming into the air. no, you dictator, and all the other stuff that goes along with it. They
Gotta
just
love
lose their minds.
Yeah. Well, there was a
The
lady in
rest-
St. Louis dancing on top of a Cadillac Escalade as it was going down the road. And she fell out. This is just breaking news, by the way. She fell off of it and was run over by a fire truck. Not a joke. Really
no.
sad. But people doing stupid stuff that, I'm sorry, that's going to happen. Don't get up on top of a moving vehicle dancing as you're driving down the road. It's just dumb.
It's not.
Um,
I was told by my driver's ed teacher that that's not safe.
Not
Go on.
safe. Now that was my public service announcement. Done. Are you
Keep
going
your
to show us something going on over in Ireland, David?
I was gonna say guess which country, but since you gave it away,
Wait, let me guess. I'm sorry.
who
I love
streets,
it.
our
I love
streets.
my accent.
Yeah. So they're out in force. They're out there saying our country. We're taking I don't know where this goes, but typically we've seen protests in France, and we've seen them in Brazil. We've seen them in a few other countries, even some demonstrations in the UK. You got to be pretty brave in England. This, I guess, this could be Ireland, part of the UK for all I know. But anyways, first time we've seen this kind of a crowd show up and protest in Ireland. I thought that was interesting.
I think that's epic. And by the way, I love the accent when they're saying whose streets, our streets, and no justice, no peace. Take it to the streets. Sorry, David and I literally together on a program that is no longer there. We used to watch these things for hours on end. They were in Portland. This was during the pandemic, so we would have been great commentators back then. We should have had some of them.
So good. Yeah.
Should have had some of our agents on the ground there. So there's a couple more things, but quite frankly, I don't know. I think some of it can wait. I still have, by the way, I'm glad I held off because I was going to break the breaking news about the DOD official on the James O'Keefe hidden camera. I just saw that there is even more bombshell information coming out from his most recent hidden camera expose. So I'm going to dig into that. That might be something we're going to talk about on Wednesday.
Wow. Okay. Well, I will listen to the show after it's broadcast, but I always like a good James O'Keefe expose. I think he doesn't, he does the work that we want to have happen, but none of us have the courage to go do ourselves. None of us have the means to go do ourselves. Somehow he's figured out how to go trap these people into spilling their guts and saying things that, honestly, I'm glad they're saying it, but they have no business saying it. It shocks me every time how much information people give about the bad stuff that they're involved in. But good on
Tinder,
you, James.
man. Tinder. They keep on going on Tinder, finding dates, and then all of these Tinder dates turned out to be undercover exposés. So,
okay. All right.
Keep
it up. Keep up the good work.
Yeah. Hey, they might as well just call it the OMG app. I don't know.
All right. Well, I will listen to the show afterwards. But no, John, I do think there's a lot. Let's save it because we'll want to talk about some of this, I think, next week.
I'm really looking forward to digging into that Uma Abedin story, and maybe Marie, we can talk during the week. Probably put off a couple of those things your way if you could help us find some of those things. Producer Marie, appreciate you. Well, on that note, David, I did one thing I just want to share with the crowd because this is really fun. This is just how intelligent John is. I was out there barbecuing this evening. And it's absolutely gorgeous weather here during that time of day. Now I saw a couple flashes of lightning out there, so we could be having a storm rolling in, but it's great weather, beautiful. Spring is on the way here in Montana. And so I'm out there, I get my coals all ready and I dump them into the fire pit thing to do my barbecuing. And then I come back out, I bring the meat out to grill it up. And wow, that's well, that's kind of hot. And I looked down and I stepped on a little chip of a coal that was fully engulfed, and now it burned the living tar out of my feet. So it's kind of like in the pad right there on my foot.
Boy.
Oh man, it feels so good. I feel alive, David.
Yeah, after that, you're alive.
Yeah. I did run into our conspiracy theorist that is the one who said that she firmly believes that Donald Trump's a time traveler. So I'm really still looking to get her on the show. I am so fascinated to have that conversation with her. So we're hoping for that to happen. And lots of fun things coming. I think that the arrests are going to start happening. And I think that, my favorite, I have a handful of favorites, but one of my favorites is going to be that smug Comey.
Yeah.
I just can't wait till his name goes up on the board.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's a few names. Get my bingo card out.
I know. So anyway, Dave, thanks for pulling it back together after we had our little unfortunate incident with the server. I appreciate you jumping in and getting that stuff put back together. Have a good and safe trip this week.
Thank you.
And the folks at home will be really glad. Oh, Schiff. Oh, yes. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Schiff is going to be.
And Liz Cheney.
Schiff was just so smug and disgusting. That guy. And I hope it goes down for and Mr. Swalwell. I almost called him with the nickname I have for him, Rotunda Boy.
Yeah. Let's not forget Fang's boy.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a handful. There's a lot of them, and I can't wait for all of them to be reintroduced. I think I said in our private chat, David, I think that they're going to have to arrest enough low-level people to start making orange jumpsuits for the higher-level people. So not going to be making license plates anymore. They're going to be making jumpsuits.
They'll be making jumpsuits. They put the names on them ahead of time. Maybe they get their own number too.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, you'd mentioned you could have like the team name on the front. Team FBI, Team CIA, Team.
Yeah.
Team State Department.
Play softball or something in prison.
And their name on the back, blazoned on the back. Shifty Schiff.
Shifty Shift. Oh, that's so good.
I love that idea. I bet I could get ChatGPT to do that for me.
I'll bet you could.
I do have a story on ChatGPT, but we're going to save it for another time.
Save it for next time.
I will. Thank you guys very much for being here. Really appreciate you very much. Thanks for bearing with us on the show. It's a little rougher than normal, but it came together. We appreciate you very much, and we're glad that you were here. Have a great week, everyone.
All right. Good night, John. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we, the people, choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing.
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
The sweet emotion raining all over me. I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
They come back to me.